Independent thought, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
If we're going to follow the data, there's no data to suggest that vaccinated people should be wearing masks, or even people with natural immunity for that matter. So it sends the wrong message at a time when we need to rebuild trust and public health credibility. LA County is going to be an outlier. Other cities are not going to follow this. There may be a few. But right now, we are in headline high season of fear-mongering. If you look at the San Francisco Chronicle and LA Times talking about a spike and a surge, there may be an increase in cases, but we're not really seeing an increase in critical illness presenting to the hospital.
What? No, it has to be. It's getting worse. Can't stop it. It's gross how evil this thing is. Everybody must run in fear. Misinformation, disinformation, frustration. We have become the disease we have right now is misinformation. It's disinformation. That's the big disease. It is. It's the disease that right now is troubling. Look, the Delta variant, yeah, you can catch it easier. Is it more deadly? Nah. If you're unvaccinated, yeah, you might have an issue. If you're vaccinated, you're probably going to be all right. It's like that with anything, right? Just because you get the flu shot doesn't mean you can't get the flu. But you're more apt to not get the flu, and you're more apt to survive it and have very little issues with the flu. We're in the battle of misinformation and disinformation right now.
The Delta variant now responsible for driving up cases everywhere but South Dakota and Wyoming. Alongside Arkansas, the highest infection rates are in Florida and Missouri. Unvaccinated Americans account for nearly all new COVID cases. The Surgeon General concerned that misinformation, particularly via social media, is fueling vaccine hesitancy.
No, it's not fueling vaccine hesitancy. Let's be real. Most of the people that aren't getting vaccinated made that choice months and months and months ago. Now, is some of that through disinformation? Yes. Is some of that through misinformation? Yes. Is some of that through personal choice? Yeah. But misinformation, disinformation, first of all, let's separate the two. Misinformation. I think I know this. I think I got all the data. This is what I think. And somebody is misinformed because they heard it from somebody else. And it's not because they're bad. Disinformation is just straight lies. That's what this is. You know, I don't often agree with Dr. Fauci, but we've said this for quite a long time.
If you look at the extraordinary historic success in eradicating smallpox and eliminating polio, if we had had the pushback for vaccines the way we're seeing, I don't think it would have been possible at all to not only eradicate smallpox, we probably would still have smallpox, and we probably would still have polio in this country if we had the kind of false information that's being spread now. If we had that decades ago, I would be certain that we'd still have polio in this country.
Yeah, probably. Absolutely. Probably. Because that's the reality of what we do now. The reality of what we do is we see something. We don't question it. We take it as the gospel, especially if it's somebody that we think we can trust and they have our quote-unquote belief system. And then we take that and we run with it. And it becomes the belief system. And like everything in the politics and the world that we live in now, we have draped ourselves, kind of like sports, right? We have the red and the blue. We have draped ourselves in that. This is our uniform. This is who we are. This is what we believe. And I will fight tooth and nail for my belief system and never challenge it. And it's funny when I say challenge it, because I always say you should always challenge your beliefs. People always push back on me and say, Chad, see, you do that. That's silly. No. I'm not saying you change who you are. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is when you're getting information from a lot of different sources, but there's sources that only you believe in, have you ever thought that maybe there's another point of view, another vantage point, that maybe the people that I'm quote-unquote going to are in it for something else? No. I'm going to go back a ways. This is David Bowie. You guys remember him? He's a singer? Yeah, that guy. Let's dance, put on your wet shoes and dance the blues. Remember that when he got a little Elmer Fudd, but he had big hits in the 80s. talking about the internet and the good and the bad that it can do. This is from the 90s.
I think the potential of what the internet is going to do to society, both good and bad, is unimaginable. I think we're actually on the cusp of something exhilarating and terrifying. Yeah, I'm talking about the actual context, and the state of content is going to be so different to anything that we can really envisage at the moment. It's going to crush our ideas of what mediums are all about.
Translation, there's going to be some good and there's going to be some bad. And I think a lot of what we've gotten in the last, I don't know, since this thing really started, but over the last 5 years, the good and the bad have been, well, they've gone to the extremes now. When we see stuff that's good, it's great. It's, whoa. When we see stuff that's bad, though, that spreads like wildfire, like a virus. Viral. Same thing goes for this. Yeah, you know what? Dr. Fauci would be right. We still have polio. We still have everything because things have become political. And once politics gets involved, it screws everything up. Once politics gets involved, it makes everything ugly. There's politics in just about everything, but the difference is there's a difference between office politics, playing a little game here and there, trying to understand who you need to talk to, how you need to talk to them, who you need to know, and the politics now of I always want to be right. That's the only thing that matters. Period, case closed, end of story. And that is frustrating. Frustrating for a lot of people out there who are looking around thinking to themselves, all right, we're in the middle of this massive nightmare. We're coming out the other end. Now we're being told in some places you got to go back indoors. You got to wear this. You got to do that. This Delta variant's coming here to destroy everything that we've built. And by the way, if you've been vaccinated and if you've had it, you should wear a mask and do all. Enough. That doesn't help. I talked to two people over the last week who said, hey, why is it that I have to, you got a vaccine? I said, yeah. And you had it? I said, yeah. He goes, do you feel that you should mask up? I said, no. He goes, yeah, I don't feel that way either. He goes, and I don't have the vaccine, but what it says to me is if they're worried about you also, then what's it say about the vaccine? Good question. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. L.A. County Sheriff's like, yeah, I'm not enforcing any of this stuff. If you guys try to make people mask up indoors, we got other things to do. I'm not going in there and telling people, you need to mask up or else. It's not going to happen. But I knew that. I was talking to my uncle this weekend. My uncle lives in Los Angeles. I said, Paul, are you masking up? It was his birthday. He's like, no. I said, I didn't think so. He goes, went out, went to dinner. I said, was everybody masked up? He said, nope. I said, they went to dinner last night. It happens, Saturday. So it's going to be tough. I think people, what did I say? Once that genie got out of the bottle, putting it back in is going to be virtually impossible to do. Virtually impossible. And here's where we are. Unless this thing, and I think part of that's the media's fault, right? The media sold this thing as the deadliest thing in the history of things ever. And it has been deadly, but it's been deadly to who? People who are predisposed to potentially dying because they have weakened immune systems. They have comorbidities. People who are obese. Yes, every once in a while, somebody who's really healthy gets it and dies. And more often than not, people that are really unhealthy get this thing and survive it. But the reality is they've had enough. People, they're exhausted and they've been sold a bill of goods. And the disinformation, misinformation, and there's only so many times you can cry wolf, even to people who think you should mask up still without them going, kind of over it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Oh, my Lord, who's excited?
The IOC and Tokyo 2020 are absolutely clear that the Olympic Village is a safe place to stay.
Yep, Olympic Village is a safe place to stay. How excited are you? Is there any new cases?
Golf, the highest profile athlete so far to test positive, but as hundreds of athletes arrive in Tokyo, the threat of testing positive or being contact traced looms large. Two South African soccer players now in isolation. If they have to quarantine for 14 days, it would derail their competitions. And a group of British gymnasts isolating after a case was detected on their flight.
Yeah, this is going to be a nightmare. This is going to be an Olympic-sized mess. So you got the opening ceremonies on Friday. You have, I'm telling you, there's going to be several cancellations of events or postponement of events. Some events, maybe there's an issue and they never get it going. I don't know what this looks like, but this is not what Japan, who has spent $20+ billion, thought this was going to be. And if I was, there's nothing you can do now. It's too late. It's too late. There are people in the village, and actually, I think earlier this week you're going to see some stuff already starting to get going, because some of the stuff you have to go through preliminaries and stuff before you even get to that point. This, though, just feels like an NBC, man. Every 5 minutes, they're rolling it out there, you know, and it's hard to get excited. Hey, watch a bunch of people compete in front of nobody. That's a tough thing to sell for God knows how much they spent on the Olympics. I'm sure billions. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Rough Greens makes every pet food better. It is a supplement, goes on top of your dog's food. My puppies take it. My older dog Doodle takes it. I love this. The last night, Doodle, like 9:30 at night, I'm trying to go to bed. He is bouncing around the house like he's all hopped up on something. He just had his food earlier, but I think he thought he was going to get more food. I gave him a little steak. Loved it. It is hilarious to watch. Hilarious to watch the way he runs around, all because of Rough Greens. I started getting Rough Greens 18 months ago. He has horrific joint pain, arthritis in his hips. Lo and behold, this supplement goes on top of your dog's food. It's got vitamins, minerals, probiotics, all this amazing stuff. Has changed his life and has given him a new lease on life. He is living life larger and happier than ever before. Right now, try it before you buy it. You go to Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com/Chad, ruffgreens.com/Chad. When you do, guess what happens? They're going to send you a bag for free. You cover shipping. Or you can call 833-MY-DOG-77, 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Park where they would be manning their cameras. They have been notified to leave. And they're moving these people, definitely this area down there on the right. And some are coming off from the stands into the Nationals dugout to get away. Yeah, people are flooding the dugout into the Padres dugout now, too. This is a new.
Yeah, some of the announcers the other night, I don't know if you guys listened, saw any of it, but it was very bizarre. It was a shooting outside Nats ballpark. People panicked a little bit.
Nationals manager Davey Martinez described the panic as he rushed to help others run for cover.
There was smash in our dugout.
The in-stadium announcers trying to calm the crowd in the chaos.
The action is outside of the stadium. At this time, we ask that you remain in the stadium.
Police say 3 people were shot, including a woman who was a bystander and was treated for non-life-threatening injuries.
I like that I should throw a woman in there. The other 2 were who? What were they? Were they guys? Nope. There was a third non-binary gender. But that a third person was shot, a woman. She's fine. People panicked. Does show you, though, right? Like in situations, because I saw some of it, and we were talking earlier, you know, with producer Anthony says, reminds me of what took place in England. I said, well, you got to, there's different things. The disaster that everybody remembers was the Hillsborough disaster. That's the soccer game that was the FA Cup. That's the Football Association semifinal. And what happened was, back in the day, in the 60s and 70s, when you did have the hooligan problems, when you had people running on the field at times, they put up these barriers so you couldn't get out there. That stadium at Hillsborough, they on accident, somebody left open another gate. So you had a stadium that held like 30,000 who let in 70,000. The crush of people to get in and see the game pushed people against each other, which caused panic. And once the panic started to spread, that's when you had the disaster. Luckily, this was at a baseball game where there was very few people. It's not very nice. But it only takes a second to see how the panic can spread. I mean, like that. People are, heading down into the dugouts. People are, and even the guy comes on and is like, "Oh, there's no reason to go anywhere. It's happening outside. So people are being shot outside. If you just stay and enjoy the baseball game, it'll all be good." The good news is nobody inside was hurt. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us.
Everybody who's been to space says it changes them in some way, and I'm just really excited to figure out how it's going to change me.
Jeff Bezos. Well, when you come back, Jeff, you're going to be broke. You didn't hear? Wait, what?
People say they see the thin limb of the Earth's atmosphere. It teaches them how fragile and precious the planet is, how there are no boundaries. I don't know what it's going to do, but I'm excited to find out.
Now, you're worth a lot of money. You've done this amazing thing. You've got this stuff, but you are going into space. Do you, Jeff? And I'm going to call you Jeff. Do you, Jeff, have any worry? Are you nervous at all?
We've had 15 successful flights, and I'm excited, but I'm not nervous.
Okay, excited but not nervous. So he'll be going to a little bit more space. His flight's going to take 11 minutes. Elon's like, I'm going to crush you guys. I'm going to float around there for years in a Tesla. Look at that. I'm just going to go planting flags all over. This is Tesla. This is Musk. This is Elon. Just flags everywhere. It's going to own it. But he's going to a little bit more space-based than Branson went to, and he is not nervous. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. People are suing because, well, they want their unemployment. That's very interesting. Border surge, and Brian Stelter got served. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The Delta variant, it's out there. Are you scared? You should be. You can get a vaccine.
The vaccines are a miracle. I mean, it's amazing. And by the way, it's President Trump's administration that started this effort with Operation Warp Speed, and it is something we should all celebrate. The vaccines are safe. The vaccines are effective. I was in one of the trials, and I'm still in the trial, the Janssen J&J trial. So I got my vaccine early to show my constituents that I trusted the vaccines, that they were safe and effective.
That's Rob Portman. He is a Republican. He's like, you're not vaccinated. They're safe. But you're going to turn into, what, plant? Magnetized? Somebody sent me some last week. Like, you're going to become magnetized. It's all over Pfizer's website. I said, no, it's not. Show me where it is. He goes, well, they've taken it down now. I'm like, I'm sure they have. The want to be right in some things is it's crazy. And how much of this is real? Like when I talk to people who aren't vaccinated, and I don't care if you get vaccinated or not, I'm always just curious why you did or didn't do something. As people say, why'd you get vaccinated? I'm not afraid of vaccines. I'm not one of those people who are afraid of vaccines. Some people are. Some people think, oh, you're going to get autism. I'm like, I don't think that's how that works. Man, he was normal to like 35. Then what happened? Well, he got a vaccine, and now he's kind of like Rain Man. I don't like those. Man, Jim couldn't do anything. Now he knows how to count cards. I don't think that's the way it works. It's different, Chad. You just don't understand. It's just a way for them to control you. Okay, well, look, if you think there's something that nefarious out there, if you believe to yourself, man, the government is so into this, they can control you, and they've got it such a perfect way that the Chinese and the Europeans and our government got together to first and foremost destroy Donald Trump, but at the same time watch Donald Trump get this thing through in Operation Warp Speed, then have Joe Biden push this thing out there to make sure we had it. So we had two presidents who were polar opposites of each other do this, all in conjunction with the likes of Angela Merkel and Boris Johnson, right, and Macron and Xi Jinping and everybody else, and do this so they could control you. If you truly believe that, you're screwed anyways. Right? Honestly. What, are you going to be the last person standing? Is that what you think? Oh, now you're just buying into it. No, I'm just asking I think it's a fair question.
If you have been vaccinated, you have a level of protection that is extraordinary. It really is amazing how well it's working. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated by definition.
Yeah. By the way, just to throw you out there, the pandemic of the unvaccinated. This is Surgeon General Vivek Murthy talking about the people that are getting sick and dying.
Now, I am worried about what is to come because we are seeing increasing cases among the unvaccinated in particular. And while if you are vaccinated, you are very well protected against hospitalization and death, unfortunately, that is not true if you are not vaccinated. We're seeing 99.5% of deaths right now from COVID-19 in our country are happening among the unvaccinated. And so that's why it is so important that we take every measure possible and to help them get vaccinated as quickly as possible.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. Again, I'm fine with you making your personal choice. I just like to know, like, why. I think because I'm curious. I'm always curious about something. Did I miss something? Did I miss something that, and hundreds of millions and soon to be billions of people missed? Maybe. But think about this. Measles, the mumps, polio, all gone. Would that still be here? Yeah, I think so in today's world. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. You know, we have talked about it for how long? I don't know, for several years. But the media needs somebody to rail against, right? Like conservative talk radio exploded when? What happened? When really Clinton took over. You had Rush and the explosion of Rush and the way that he handled things and the Clintons, and it went from being America to we had our disagreements to this, you know, it became an entertainment world. The difference was Rush was at least entertaining. Television media over the years, it's different. You've got an hour to do something. You got to put it out there. You got to try to be, here's your soundbite. This is why I don't do these shows. First of all, because I just can't get on there, and for nobody's ever fun. Let's just be honest. I always want to talk about something serious, and nobody's ever fun. Secondly, they want you to say the most outrageous things. You'd be surprised, man. They'd come on live. Okay, here, you got 30 seconds. We're going to be coming to you. Get out your point and be over the top as possible. That's not me. Not me. I was on with, God, who was that lady? Was it Nancy Grace or somebody? There was a horrible incident that took place. I think it was Palm Springs. And where a guy and his child were swimming in a pool, like an Airbnb, and they had a light, and the light was faulty, and the kid got too close to it, and he got electrocuted. The dad went over to save him. He ended up getting electrocuted. I think they both ended up dying, and they were like trying to figure out who to blame, and they were just over the top. And then they came to me. I said, "What do you want him to do? Arrest the pool?" It's like it was something so stupid, like, and it was like, you never come on again. Thank you very much. Bye. That's what I get. Because it's so ridiculous. You need a villain. What have I said over and over again about politics? You have to have a villain. Or superheroes they're not superheroes if there's no villain. They're just people doing their thing. Like Spider-Man doesn't have a villain, doesn't have crime. He's just a guy that goes to work and has to have a normal job. Same thing with Superman and Batman. All of them need something. And politics has become, I'm your hero. The other side is bad. Let me show you how bad they are. elect me and I'll fight. Brian Stelter had Michael Wolff on, who, Michael Wolff's always got these books out, about, and they're outrageous, and that's part of what he does. But he called Brian Stelter out, who needs to be called out all the time, and we still marvel of the fact that he's got a gig, right? Don't wish him any ill will, but let's be real. He's as producer Anthony said, he's a caricature of himself.
Egregious abuse of power by Fox News. That's on the top 10 list for history.
I think the media has done a terrible job on this. I think you yourself, while you're a nice guy, you're full of sanctimony. You become part of one of the parts of the problem. You come on here and you have a monopoly on truth. You know exactly how things are supposed to be done. You are one of the reasons people can't stand the media. Sorry.
You're cracking me up.
Because he's right. You're sanctimonious. You listen to you guys. Both sides, they have the monopoly of truth. My truth is the only truth. There's a guy on radio, and he says, everything we say is truth, and it cannot be challenged. I'm like, well, that's, when you tell me that, I was like, ridiculous. Everything can be challenged. You think it's not the truth? I only care about the truth. What's the truth? Well, I look at data and facts. People who aren't vaccinated are the ones getting sick. What does my data say? My data says at this point, people who aren't vaccinated are more likely to catch this thing comparatively to the people that are. On the other side of things, the fear factor on the media side makes it seem like if you catch this thing, and the Delta variant in particular, there's a good chance you're going to die, which just like 99.95% of people who catch this right now and get sick are people who are unvaccinated. 99.95% of those people will survive. That's the reality. I love what Michael Wolff said here. Brian, all you do is go on a show on Saturday or Sunday or whenever your show's on, and you talk about how crappy Fox is, and you talk about how evil they are, and talk about how bad they're going to go down in history as one of the biggest. You guys lied for years about Russia. Lied for years about Russia, about a dossier that was purchased that was a horrible spy novel at best. It wasn't even a dime store novel. It was a novel worth about $0.50 at best. You're not going to go down as somebody who is what? Full of it? You sat there while everybody said, hey, I think we should really look into this whole thing with the Wuhan virus and where it came from. And may come from some sort of lab that they have there that studies these things, that they're also doing gain of function, which means they're playing around with these things, and that maybe this thing got out. No, you're a conspiracy theorist. Don't tell me that crap. Don't tell me how virtuous you are. Oh, he continues, Michael Wolff.
So what should I do differently, Michael?
Don't talk so much. Listen more. People have genuine problems with the media. The media doesn't get the story right. The media exists in its own bubble.
That's true. I agree.
Yeah. You exist in your own bubble. And that is so true. Both sides do. Both sides live as if their truth is the only truth. Both sides live as if they're the only ones who know the absolute truth. Here's the reality. I'm going to break it down for you guys. And this is just my point of view based on the fact that I've worked on all sides of the media. Both sides tell their score. Rarely do they give the other side and the other team's score.
All of the people saying the same old stuff. Also, you're incredibly repetitive week after week. I mean, you're the flip side of Donald Trump. Fake news, and you say virtuous news. There's
we just figure out what is real.
I mean, figuring out what is real is not so easy, and most people don't want to turn to Brian Stelter to tell us what's real. I'm sorry.
True. Called out. Just be easy, right? To find out what's real, what's not. So many people out there, they don't know. We're going to talk more about truth. Because you'd be surprised some of the emails I get. I just got something from somebody, and we're going to talk about it. And it has to do with the audit. And again, the chaos, the craziness of people only going to one side to look at something and never once thinking for a moment, could there be more to the story? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. The line I give you, the 323-538-2423, that is a text line. So when you call it and then you get mad and you say horrible things about why I'm not taking calls, because it's a text line. Why don't you take calls? Because I don't want to take calls. We're moving on to something else. By the time that you got through, plus Phil's not paying attention.
Were you talking to me?
There you go. You be calling right now. Phil ain't paying attention. Hell, we don't even know our phone line anymore. Somebody asked me the other day, do you have a phone? I'm like, I think. I don't know. I think it's 8-something. I think Chad's the last 4. I couldn't tell you the rest. 323-538-2423. That is the text line. Raycon, best earbuds around. Used my Raycon this weekend. Went out Saturday, played some golf, did a little working out as well. What I loved about it is I got through my golf and my workout, and I still had plenty of juice left in my earbuds. There's no stems. There's no wires. Seamless Bluetooth pairing. Better sound quality and design. 45-day happiness guarantee. Tons of colors to choose from. Raycons are the best earbuds around at a price that won't break the bank. That's what I love about my Raycons. You get that 45-day happiness guarantee. You try it for 45 days. You're not happy? You send it back. You're going to be happy. Different colors. You got the rose gold. They got the awesome red, the black, the super royal blue, and the white ones are amazing. With no stems, no wires. You don't have to worry about that stuff getting in the way. That seamless Bluetooth pairing. And the capsule, the little thing it comes in, right? Like this amazing little case. That gives you 32 hours of battery life, right? So capsule charge the earbuds so you don't have to. It's the beauty of what Raycon does. Get your Raycon, save an extra 15%. They start well under $100. Buy Raycon.com/Chad. Buy Raycon.com/Chad. Buy Raycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to Chad. No, not the country. The institution. The Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to the Space Jam. The LeBron James-fronted sequel Space Jam, A New Legacy, scored a slam dunk box office debut, opening in first with $31.7 million. $54.7 million when you add international grosses.
I'm done running.
That knocks Black Widow into second place. It added another $26.3 million to last week's pandemic record Bow, for a domestic total of $132 million.
How about that, huh? Yeah, what's up, Doc? Yeah, Space Jam crushed it. Saw them at low haters gonna hate. Ain'ters gonna ain't. I don't even think that's real, but that's what I said. So Space Jam did well, and that's because you got things like this. My buddy Bob Bergen.
This pig is lit. I'm super legit. Every time I'm out in public, people asking me for pics. Nobody knows you when you walk the street. How your last name rhythm and you're still off beat. From beginning to the end, I'm here for all the smoke. Your squad ain't all star, your squad is all jokes. And just with one bar, most famous of all quotes. This battle is now over, that's all, folks.
I'm going to try to get Bob on next week. A couple other the great voiceover talents in this movie. Of course. Yeah, what's up, Doc? So that did well. Now, how well will it do? But it was funny because it became political. Oh, LeBron James sucks. He's awful. He's evil. Black Lives Matter. So I'm just like, what? It's like, I can't. What are we doing? Really? It's a cartoon. Just get over yourself. But we can't, though. Everything we have to see politics in. You know, people ask me all the time, why don't I do more voice work? And I said, well, I'm starting to get back into it more. A lot of it because I focused on the show so much for the last 5-6 years. Before that, I worked doing my local talk show, which didn't bring me a ton of money. It was a small station, and did a ton of voice work, and that kind of supplemented my income in many cases was the reason I was able to survive and eat. So then when I started, doing this, it becomes a tougher thing because one of the reasons is because doing acting and doing stuff like that, just think about the industry comparatively to what I do. And even though I'm not super uber crazy right-wing nut job, as some people would think, for a lot of people in places like L.A., oh my God, you talk about, you don't hate Trump? No, I don't hate anybody. Do you hate Biden? No, I don't hate Biden. That's where you get, though. So it just became a tough thing. And luckily, I've done enough over time and people know me that I'm not a nut job. Luckily. And a different kind of nut job, because it's okay to be crazy. But it's different kind of crazy. Speaking of crazy. So I joke about this, but last week I got the guy who kept hitting me up every day about Pfizer and you're going to become magnetized. Over the last several days, I've also gotten, what take place out here in the audit in Arizona. Chad, the audit, look at this. They found 74,000. That's already been debunked, right? That's already been debunked about like, hey, look, you go through and look at them. But when you look at how many, you guys knew how many things we printed that were double, meaning somebody forgot theirs at home, but then they were around and they wanted to vote in person because you can vote in person early in Arizona. And how many things were actually sent out that were test ballots, sample ballots printed. You guys have almost the matching thing that we do. So to say that these were 74,000 ballots, it doesn't matter, though. When people buy into something, they go back and they're going to continue to look for it over and over again, meaning even if you tell them, this isn't real, here's the real data, here's all the stuff, the person that you said this has already said, no, that's not true, they'll say, well, it's something else. And that's a tough thing to do because people have bought into the belief that this is all fake and all a conspiracy. And it's tough to get people out of that mindset. It is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet, text. Love hearing from you at Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The director of the CDC is calling this the pandemic of the unvaccinated. More than 161 million Americans are now fully vaccinated against the coronavirus. And authorities here at the CDC would like Americans who are holding out to know that they are the ones getting sick.
Yeah, well, I think they know that now. So now what? We just move on. They're not going to buy it. They're not going to get the vaccine. Not the way that other people want to. They're just not. What do you do? What do you do, Chad? What do you do? You let them do them. If you're vaccinated, you feel fine. If you're vaccinated, you feel like, all right, this is it. I'm good. I got nothing to worry about. They decided not to get the vaccine. Hey, as adults, this is the way we should learn how to agree to disagree. Sometimes you just, in church this week, they said sometimes you just close the box on that subject. Now, you don't put people in the box. You don't villainize them, as it all too often happens. You just say, you know what? We're going to agree to disagree, and we move on. And that's it. And that's kind of what I've done. And I have a lot of people out there, on both sides of this. And it's funny because I have just as many friends who are vaccinated who are, quote unquote, Republicans or conservatives, whatever, as I do who are liberal. But I also have friends who are liberal who decided not to get the vaccine and think that not so much it's a conspiracy, but just thinks that, yeah, they've got different reasons. And I do have friends who are, on the right side of the aisle who decided not to get the vaccine for their own reasons. But it's I'm always curious as to why. But so much of it is about, the information side of stuff.
The Delta variant now responsible for driving up cases everywhere but South Dakota and Wyoming.
Two places that they're not driving it up. South Dakota and Wyoming. Why? Is it just now? Probably. Is it the fact that they're spread out? Yeah, probably a little bit more rural. So it's two places. Out of how many states? It's 50 states. And then you go, okay, it's a 50, and there's two. It's 48 states. It can't all be a lie, right? Can't all be lies. Maybe. They take some of the truth and they spread it out and they find the parts that'll scare you, but they leave out the rest of it. That's real. That's real. But you're looking at 48 out of 50. I would do the math and say that points to something.
Alongside Arkansas, the highest infection rates are in Florida and Missouri. Unvaccinated Americans account for nearly all new COVID cases. The Surgeon General concerned that misinformation, particularly via social media, is fueling vaccine hesitancy.
Yeah, but also the nonstop fear factor of, hey, you better wear a mask because if you don't wear a mask indoors in some of these places, there's a chance you can get it. But I've been vaccinated. Well, it doesn't matter. Well, no, it should matter, because what you're telling me is that my vaccination doesn't seem to work. Is that what you're saying? Well, no, we're not saying that, because it feels like that's what you're saying. And that's ridiculous. It feels like that.
If we're going to follow the data, there's no data to suggest that vaccinated people should be wearing masks, or even people with natural immunity for that matter. So it sends the wrong message at a time when we need to rebuild trust and public health credibility. LA County is going to be an outlier. Other cities are not going to follow this. There may be a few. But right now, we are in headline high season of fear-mongering. If you look at the San Francisco Chronicle and LA Times talking about a spike and a surge, there may be an increase in cases, but we're not really seeing an increase in critical illness presenting to the hospital.
Translation, yeah, the cases have gone up, so the number went from 1 to whatever, but the hospitals aren't seeing a massive jump in the critical side of stuff. So there you go. Therein lies, which I've always said, is you look at the hospitals, right? If the hospitals are uber busy, if the hospitals are absolutely crushed, well, then there's an issue there. Right now, they're not. Why? Mostly older people are vaccinated. People who had comorbidities, had a lot of issues, are vaccinated. There's a good amount of people that have already had this thing, so they've got natural protection from it. We can go down the list. Who doesn't have vaccinations? Younger people who are like, you're going to live forever. Most predominantly white Christians in a lot of places who've decided that they don't need to be vaccinated because, for whatever reason, it's your own. And then you've got the conspiracy theory people as well. L.A. County, though, I love it. The guy in L.A. County, the sheriff's like, nah, I'm not going to enforce that.
Each infection prevented, experts say, is one less chance for the virus to mutate in potentially dangerous ways, as happened with the Delta variant. That highly transmissible variant is really driving the surge now. It's responsible for about 70% of COVID cases in Los Angeles County. But the sheriff here is saying he won't enforce this mask mandate. It's essentially an honor system.
Yeah. Not a shocker. I think they're over it. I think a lot of people are. I said, once that genie got out of the bottle, putting it back in is going to be ridiculous. Outside of a flying Ebola virus, like with the flamethrower and knives, you're going to have going back to where we were is virtually impossible. It would have to be something so deadly, so frightening that you could see it. Not even just like it's no, you would have to see it. It's like, I got to see it. Little Jasons and Michael Myers flying around. That, maybe. But even then, people are like, I'll take my chances. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. All of this going on, what do we have? We've got issues with inflation. We've got issues that are hurting people at the gas pump, hurting people in the grocery line. I know this weekend I bought some groceries and I was like, are you kidding me? Because I just got some to get through the next couple of days because I need to make grocery run. We need to have the family and the whole 9 yards. But I was like, whoa.
Dairy products, eggs, just a few of the items that you're probably paying more for.
We did notice the dairy stuff is going up. I'm sure we're not seeing it all.
Prices for consumer goods rose for the third straight month in June, jumping 5.4% year over year, the biggest jump in 13 years.
Yeah, that's huge. 13 years we've had a jump like this. And you got to start looking at Biden and say, all right, what are you going to do? This is starting to get away from you now. How are you going to handle this? You've been in this job now going on 6.5, 7 months. It's time for you. This is when it starts to become partly your issue, right? Because we got to give that leeway of that crossover, good or bad, but we're looking at you. You want to spend a ton of money. You want to break out all of this money you want to spend on infrastructure and all these things. That stuff that is going to be, as we start to print money, that's going to be an issue down the road. Is this going to be temporary or is this long-term?
One of the temporary solutions that we have come with, we're buying more products locally. We're keeping it local to keep the transportation costs more controlled.
Yeah. And that's important because two things. First, fuel prices have gone up. We've got tons of demand as people start to get back out there at work. Last year, we didn't have any demand. Fuel prices were down. Very few people were working in the office. So what happened was the people who drove the trucks, they didn't have gigs anymore. They eventually went out of business or flipped and said, well, now I'm going to transport this. We had fuel issues with pipes, cold weather, and, of course, the hacking. So that caused some prices to go up. It's not that somebody said last week, we just don't have anymore. No, we have more than enough fuel. Well, if we had pipelines, the pipelines that we have, like everybody comes out and goes, oh, what about the pipeline that was supposed to be there in Canada, the one that's supposed to, I said, that wouldn't have changed any of this. It was basically for Canada. It's basically so much of that battle of the pipeline had nothing, very little to do with what would have happened here. We have more than enough fuel. Now, in the coming months and years, could this be an issue if we stop drilling and we stop producing our oil? Absolutely. But when you start to add up, if it costs 5% more to get it to market, to 10% more, who do you think eats that? We do. So, and how does that work? Well, they're having to pay the transportation costs. It's 5% or 10% more. Their markup is going to be more than that. So they're paying more for it. So something that was $1, let's just say it's $1.10. They're having to pay $1.10 for it. They're going to sell it to us now for, instead of selling it to us for $1.50, they may sell it to us for $1.60, $1.75. All of it starts to add up over time. And you got to think about it. The packaging is going to be 5 cents more. This is going to be 5 cents more. It all starts to add up, and that eats into people's livelihoods over time. Fuel's more expensive. Everything continues to see a bump. And that comes down and it trickles down to us. Hence the reason why inflation, especially when the cost of, or shrinkflation, where we're spending a lot more, getting a lot less, is frustrating. That's why you look at the marketplace, but you also have to look at the politicians who like to play this game of God when it comes to we can control the interest rates, we can control the stuff, we can slow inflation. Well, you better figure something out. You better start figuring some of these things out. Some of it's out of your control, but some of it, people are going to start asking serious questions. And at the end of the day, you're the coach, right? Meaning they never fire the players, very rarely. It's the coach that pays the price. And right now, Biden's the coach. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, your Instagram, and oh, so much more, my friends. My Pillow. Would you like to slide into My Pillow? The softest sheets in the world? Yes, you can do that. How about this? Slide into, yes, your bath. And when you get out, you grab yourself towels, the best towels around. A towel set that is amazing. That's what My Pillow has in store for you. Normally, 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99. Now, $39.99. Boom! 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, 2 washcloths. So that's the pack right there. Proprietary technology, right? So what's that make it? Highly absorbent, soft to touch, no lotiony feel. Made in the USA with cotton grown right now. All kinds of colors and sizes, machine washable, 60 money back guarantee, 1 year limited warranty. Check out all the deep discounts on every single product they have, from the bed sheets to the My Pillows to the mattress toppers. Go to mypillow.com. Use the promo code Benson at checkout, or call 800-983-4975. 800-983-4975 or mypillow.com, promo code Benson. mypillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let us take a peek at what's trending upon the interwebs, should we? Start over in the magic that is Twitter. Find out who's fighting with who over nothing. Old the movie in theaters Friday. Rated PG-13. Look, Scott, this is the latest from M. Night. Essentially, they're told, don't go to this beach. And they go to this beach because saying don't go to the beach makes people want to go to the beach. And they're going to go to the beach. And they're going to go. And what ends up happening? For every half hour they're there or something like that, they age like 5 years or something like that. Looks really creepy because that's what he does. That's his whole goal. Toyota's canceled plans to run Olympic-themed commercials during the games because right now the Olympics are a hot, steaming mess. A hot, steaming mess. Recall. Gavin Newsom. The lineup's been revealed. Nobody's really excited. Gavin is going to survive this recall, at least right now. It would take a miracle at this point for him to be recalled out there in California. Head on over to the Google. Number one trending thing yesterday, Colin Morikawa playing in his first British Open, the championship. He won pretty handily as well. Came in a couple behind the leader, Louis Oosthuizen, who is always the bridesmaid and never the bride. Louis struggled, never really got it going. Colin played steady. For a kid that is 24, he is 24 years old. He won his first PGA, which is a major. Now he's won and that was his first attempt. He won the British Open at his first attempt. He is as cool as it gets, and he's so mature. At 24, I was none of those things. None of National Ice Cream Day, trending right now. Love it. What am I going to have today? It's a good question. But I will have ice cream, I know that. Coco Gauff. She is out of the games. She was supposed to be in the Olympics. She will not be because she has tested positive for the virus. The virus. Yeah, the Olympics are a hot mess. That's also trending. People have no idea, I think at this point, what to do with the Olympics. Like, it's a hot mess. And it's not getting any better. And, the games, they're going to go on, but the reality is people are going, well, we're going to go, like, part of the fun of the Olympics. And so I had a couple buddies who've been in the Olympics. A few of them been in several times. One's played water polo. I think he played 3 or 4 games. And a couple of my others played soccer. And, friends growing up who were shot putters and stuff like that. And, like, part of the party is the party. You're going to the Olympic Village, right? They ship in thousands upon hundreds of thousands of condoms because you got a bunch of beautiful people running around that are all, like, looking good, running around, having fun. You're not going to do any of that stuff now. You're going to be stuck doing nothing, essentially going to the arena to work out or to wherever your venue is, and then doing your thing and eventually going home. But the village, people are saying, is the village safe?
2020 are absolutely clear that the Olympic Village is a safe place to stay.
I don't know how safe it's going to be. And the cases are rolling up. Again, tennis star.
Gauff, the highest profile athlete so far to test positive, but as hundreds of athletes arrive in Tokyo, the threat of testing positive or being contact traced looms large. 2 South African soccer players now in isolation. If they have to quarantine for 14 days, it would derail their competitions. And a group of British gymnasts isolating after a case was detected on their flight.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're going to have teams, I think, have to pull out. You're going to have in individual events. You're going to have a lot of different things. I think they're going to have. This is just a nightmare of epic proportions for all of the people who spent tons of money getting the games, but Japan in itself, yeah, it's an Olympic mess. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Getting kids back into school. I think it's been clear that there have been real disastrous costs to kids who have been out of school. CDC promotes vaccinations. I think we're all aligned here. These vaccines are safe. They're highly effective. They work against all of the variants. All the vaccines do. I'm vaccinated. My 14-year-old's vaccinated. My 11-year-old, when she turns 12, will be vaccinated. These are safe. That's where the priority needs to be. That's the best way to get economy open, kids back in school, and everything else functioning.
Panic! 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 Don't panic. I love the headline. There's 10,000 infected in a week in Los Angeles. 10,000. Is that a day or a week? Oh, that's a week. So that's 1,400 a day? Yeah. In a place that has what? 11, 12, 13 million people? Yeah. Okay. Panic! Don't panic. Take a deep breath. Why? 'Cause this is, if you're vaccinated and or you've had this, you've got nothing to worry about. If you're not vaccinated and you've not had it, there's a chance you're going to catch it. But you more than likely, based on the results that we have seen, you will probably survive this. At times it may be difficult, but a lot of you, you'll just think, this is an annoying cold. Some of you may get very sick. I'm talking about you. I'm just talking about people in general. Some people may even get to the point where they have to be hospitalized. And yes, there is a risk that some people may die from it. But by and large, you don't have to freak out about it. You don't. But the school thing is real. Because people are like, kids got to go back. I've said we'll see an uptick in vaccinations probably around, I would say in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Why is that? Because kids are going to be going back to school. And I think parents will go, all right, you know what, Buddha, take the kids to get them, vaccinated. And I've been talking to my doctors. I've talked to my pediatrician. They think it's going to be okay. But there are other things that need to be addressed. But like everything, we don't address the thing that needs to be addressed.
Schools need to take care of their ventilation systems. Open up the windows, bring in more outdoor air, upgrade your filters, use portable air cleaners. It should finally end the senseless deep cleaning or enhanced cleaning that schools and everywhere else have been doing. We don't have a well-documented case of transmission through surfaces. Best way to protect against this fomite transmission, as we call it, is good hand washing. But schools have been spending and wasting a lot of resources focusing on a non-existent threat and not spending those resources on addressing the airborne threat.
Yeah. He's a Harvard professor, Joseph Allen. He knows. He's smarty. He's got a smarty pants. You can tell. He's right. But that's everything, right? When it comes to what we do. Hey, what's the easiest thing that makes us look like we're good people? Oh, get some Clorox wipes. Okay, cool. Wash your hands a ton. All right, cool. Then that should be about it. Will it solve any of the problems? Not really. Well, what's the thing we should be doing? We should clean the filters, and we should probably bring in some portable stuff that makes this room really clean as far as the air goes, because this is airborne. Why aren't we doing that? It's a little bit harder than the other one. Yeah, okay. Okay, that sounds good. But the good news when it comes to the kids.
Another very large study was just published showing that the risk of death for kids is on the order of 1 in a million. The hospitalization rate for kids, the very youngest kids, is fortunately staying very low on the order of 3 in a million, or fortunately very low. And that's a good sign. So schools take care of their ventilation and filtration issue and can keep masks in the back pocket for now. And if you're in an area where case counts rise, masks can be put on quite easily.
There you go. So right now, if you're a teacher and you're vaccinated, go to school. Don't worry too much about stuff. You're fine. Kids, they're not really getting sick. 1 in a million. Ooh, 1 in a million. Yes, 1 in a million. In a million. Chances of them getting to a point where they have to go to the hospital, 1 in 3 million? Oh, my God, that's incredible, Chad. That's nuts. It's all about data. It's all about the science of it. We take a look at it. We go from there. Should be able to do that. We don't, but we should be able to do that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I tweeted out something earlier, if you guys want to see it. I thought it was kind of funny. I did, man. I thought it was kind of funny. I said, capitalism. Damn you. Here are folks escaping from free education, universal health care for the horrors of capitalism. You got a bunch of people on a boat, and I say the word boat loosely. It's some pontoons, a bunch of like those rafts you would raft down the river in, you know, when your buddies are out there, you guys are all drinking, you're just going down the river, and it's got like a backyard kind of umbrella. I mean, it's just, and it's a bunch of people. And I said, here are folks escaping a free education, universal health care for the horrors of capitalism. Somebody else did it. I just thought it was funny. Threw it up there. Somebody writes in, they're not escaping free health care and free health care. They're escaping a dictator. Yes, that's what dictators do. Dictators promise you the world in hopes that while they're destroying your lives, you're so focused on your free stuff that you don't pay attention to the fact that they're destroying your lives. I'll pay for health care if I get to have my freedoms. Free stuff without freedoms sucks. This is Jorge Masvidal, MMA guy, who, by the way, came out and just ripped Kaepernick for wearing a Fidel shirt, and he's worn several of them. Basically called him a douche canoe. Essentially, it's the best way to describe it, because he understands about the horrors of that country's dictators and what they've put them through.
My name is Jorge Masvidal. Use my platforms to do what I feel is correct, and what I feel everybody should be doing is fighting against oppression, dictatorships, communism, and anything off that nature. My father escaped Cuba when he was 14 years old, and I've only heard the horror stories since I could process thoughts of how this communist regime killing machine is. Oppression has been going on for 61 years. This is not just because of the pandemic, or it's not just because they just ran out of medicine, because they've been out of medicine, they've been out of resources and food because of the corrupt government.
Yeah. See, what happens is eventually all of the free stuff disappears. Eventually, you run out of everybody else's money. And now what do you have? You have who cares about an education when a taxi driver earns more than a doctor? You have no medicine inside of the hospitals or doctor's office to even treat the people, and you have no food to speak of. But some of the stuff's free.
The extreme corruption over there, where only a few at the top eat and everybody else just has to suffer, those days have to come to an end. So I think it's time for the whole world to rally behind Cuba. Let's go. Spread the messages online. We got to protest. We got to get together. We got to get attention. But I think it's up to us to put the word out there. It's the people against these corrupt governments. Let's defeat these evil communists.
Yeah. He called Kaepernick a coward on social media. I mean, what are you going to do if you're a Kaepernick? You going to throw down with him? Have fun. See how that works. Probably not going to work well. I'm just letting you know. He's 5'11", 170 pounds, and he's all right. He's one of few. Just letting you know. I just take a step back, though, and say it's so funny the way that people defend this. Like, I put that out there. There are people defending, well, the reason to do it, it's because they don't have enough vaccines. And whose fault is it? Of course, it's ours fault.
Our solidarity with the Cuban people. And what's extraordinarily important for us to communicate as well is the actions and U.S. contributions to the suffering of Cubans on the island as well. And that is directly related to the embargo, the U.S. embargo, like other U.S. policies, particularly other U.S. policies targeting Latin Americans and Latinos. The cruelty is the point. And I outright reject the Biden administration's defense of the embargo.
Of course you do. Can we make a trade? Is there somebody over there we could trade for? Somebody? We'll trade you her, because she seems to enjoy all this stuff. And then we'll take somebody else. We don't care who it is. I reject it. You know why there's an embargo? Because they're cruel and evil. They destroy the will of their people. if we were to do business with them, we'd be telling them and others who would think about, hey, you know what? Let's get into the dictator business. Because apparently if we crush everybody's souls, America's still going to do business with us. If we destroy everybody, America will still do business with us. If we do all of these horrible things, America will still do business with us. We can keep the people just happy enough to forget about the fact that we're destroying them. And sometimes, unfortunately, in the world that we live in, especially as we become more and more intertwined, you have to do business with bad people who you may not agree with, because there are other people that are worse, and those bad people are the enemies of my enemies. And that's sad, but true. But the thought process is, oh, yeah, this is our fault. It's because of the embargo, and we do this to all Latin America. The Latino America, as she calls it. The Latinos. Settle down. Settle down. What should we do? Should we just hang out and just give them whatever they want? It'll be fine. Just keep giving them whatever they want. They'll be good. They'll be happy. Let's keep them fat, dumb, and happy, the dictators, because we know if we undo the embargo and we allow money to pour in there and we help them with stuff, we know that's going to trickle down to the people, when you and I both know a little may trickle down, but very little. Very, 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 very little. Very little. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Tomorrow, dude is taking off, and I'm talking about Bezos.
Although Jeff Bezos will not be the first billionaire in space, that title taken weeks before by Richard Branson, he'll be taking his brother Mark along for the ride. Also on the flights is astronaut sales director Ariane Cornell.
Wally Funk, who will become the oldest person to have ever flown to space at the age of 82. And Oliver, the youngest person that will have ever flown to space at the age of 18.
That's Dutch teen Oliver Damon, the private equity executive's son, grabbing the seat when the auction winner, who paid $28 million for it, said he'd have to take a later flight due to a scheduling conflict.
Yep, Bezos. Jeff, got to ask you a question. Nervous?
We've had 15 successful flights, and I'm excited, but I'm not nervous.
Yeah. By the way, Wally Funk, for those of you not keeping score, is a woman. I explained that to people the other day. They're like, that's not true. Yeah, it's a woman. She was the first female Federal Aviation Agency inspector, as well as one on Mercury 13. She was also the first female air safety investigator for the NTSB and the first flight instructor at Fort Sill. So she's a pioneer in the aviation world and has worked on everything from Mercury 13 all the way through all kinds of things. People are like, that's not, yes, that's true. So she's going to be the oldest, the youngest 18-year-old kid. Should be interesting. He's not nervous, though. Nah, totally not nervous. Very excited. This should work pretty good. We've done a bunch of these, almost like 11. This should be solid. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Rough Greens makes any pet food better, baby. RUFF Greens, right? .com/Chad. You can go there, check out my dog, Doodle. Ruff, ruff. There's Doodle. Love me some Doodle. Love my dog. I love, love, love Rough Greens. I've been giving my dog Doodle Rough Greens for 18 plus months, and I'll continue to give it to him. I give it to my puppies, and they love it. It's helped their coat, but for my older dog Doodle, it has given him more energy. It has helped his coat, and it has helped his mobility, his arthritic hips, all of those things that he had, his fatty tumors. His joints are just so much better. He's bouncy. He's happy. At times he acts like a puppy, and he'll chase some of the other animals. And he's at the point now where he can get away from Winston, because every once in a while Winston thinks everything that's furry is a walking around banana, and he needs to take a bite. And when you have a giant lizard chasing you, it's nice to be able to escape. That's why I love Rough Greens. My dog's living a happier life than he's lived, and it is amazing. Right now, before you think, okay, Chad, I'd like to buy this, don't worry about that. The supplement that goes on top of your dog's food with vitamins, minerals, all that stuff, Rough Greens wants to give you a bag before you buy it. All you have to do is pay for shipping. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. Roughgreens.com/Chad. Or call 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes every pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
am not a terrorist. I am not Antifa. I am not a sex slave that wears masks.
Don't be a cutie pie.
Probably sit around and cook some soups and eat bread and desserts and just get all fat and sassy.
You're ruining my life, Bob!
Yeah, you haven't seen anything yet.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
We live in a stressful time. I think we all know that. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we're bombarded with mostly negative information, stressed about kids, school, bills, coronavirus. All of those things start to add up, and it starts to weigh on you. Every once in a while, when you take a deep breath, take a step back. And when that doesn't work, we need to turn on some music. They think they found it. The song. The song that, according to neuroscientists, is the most relaxing song in the entire world. And it's not Enya. And I love Enya. I've actually seen Enya. Her voice is amazing. But it is not. No, no, no. In 2011, the song was created by the band called Marconi Union, along with the British Academy of Sound Therapy, to help relax listeners. Enya's Watermark, or Pure Shores by All Saints, is also very relaxing, but this one stood head and tails above all of them. So when you need to relax, Marconi Union. What'd you guys think of that? Right? Was that awesome? How about this one? I find that relaxing. I'm just saying, when I need to relax, I don't want to go down. I want to go up. When I need to relax, I want to get higher and higher. When I need to relax, I don't think of soft rolling streams and green hills. I think of being thunder and struck. I think the exact opposite. That's what makes me me and you. I'm just saying. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Isn't that better? I just think it's so much better. That's far more. Listen to that. Yeah, see? So much more relaxing than a lot of that other crap that's out there. Follow along with us across all our social media. What do you think is relaxing? Is this relaxing? I think it is. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
If we're going to follow the data, there's no data to suggest that vaccinated people should be wearing masks, or even people with natural immunity for that matter. So it sends the wrong message at a time when we need to rebuild trust in public health credibility. LA County is going to be an outlier. Other cities are not going to follow this. There may be a few. But right now, we are in headline high season of fear-mongering. If you look at the San Francisco Chronicle and LA Times talking about a spike and a surge, there may be an increase in cases, but we're not really seeing an increase in critical illness presenting to the hospital.
There you go. Dr. Macri, who, by the way, was pretty much spot on. It said by April, May, we're going to be nearing that plateau of essentially herd immunity as much as we're going to get. Remember, you're not going to get to herd immunity based strictly on vaccines. That would take time, and the vaccines would have to be kind of a one and done. You don't have to worry about it again. Polio, smallpox, all of those things would be around if we had to go in every year and get shots. because people would be lazy. People wouldn't go get it. And people would, so smallpox, right? Let's just say smallpox. You had to go get it every year. Everybody does. Do you think those things would still be around? Of course. All of them would still be around. So getting to an area of herd immunity strictly on vaccines isn't going to happen. It isn't. But I agree with Dr. Fauci here, and we've talked about this on numerous occasions.
If you look at the extraordinary historic success in eradicating smallpox and eliminating polio, if we had had the pushback for vaccines the way we're seeing, I don't think it would have been possible at all to not only eradicate smallpox, we probably would still have smallpox, and we probably would still have polio in this country if we had the kind of false information that's being spread now. If we had that decades ago, I would be certain that we'd still have polio in this country.
By the way, we have monkeypox now. I don't know if you guys have seen this. They've found a case of monkeypox in Texas. What is monkeypox? They have all kinds of pox. They got the cowpox. It's cowpox. Moo. I think that's what it is. Moo. That's every, just be in the moo in the conversation. Moo. So, but the monkeypox, that's here. It's carried by animals, including primates. It was first identified by Preben von Magnus in Copenhagen in 1958. And a crab-eating macaque. So, monkeypox virus causes the disease in both primates and animals. And I don't know what happens to you. Doesn't seem to be anything like you shouldn't freak out about it yet. So they're telling everybody, don't freak out. Why not? It makes great. I mean, it just makes great. It's just theater. It's like, oh my God, there's monkeypox is here now. What's monkeypox? It's huge. Don't even know. Will I want to swing on something? I don't know. Am I going to want to throw my poo at somebody? Maybe. Tell me, what is this thing? I don't know, but it's scary. Fauci's right, though. We would never, in today's polarized world, we would never get to the point of getting ourselves vaccinated. If these things were around back then. So the measles, the mumps, whatever else that we could have been vaccinated from way back in the day. We'd be like, no way, are you kidding me? Measles, no big deal. German or otherwise. That's where we are. And I think, obviously, a lot that has to go into this is what happens online. Because that's where the information goes, right? The information it's about misinformation.
What's your message to platforms like Facebook?
They're killing people. Look, the only pandemic we have is among the unvaccinated. And they're killing people.
And by the way, that right there was Biden. As far as the unvaccinated, that's kind of where the pandemic is. It's not Facebook's fault that people want to, do the things that they do. Some people genuinely believe this. I think most people, their misinformation that they spread out there is based in the reality and the belief that they have. But I think a lot of it is misguided. And people, we're lazy and we believe something. So we believe that this was started to get rid of Trump or whatever. And because of that, it's not real. It's fake. They're giving you a placebo. There's the mark of the beast. Some people out there think you're going to get who knows what else? Crohn's disease? I don't know. Autism. It's nuts. But it's easy to spread stuff. Just like the virus spreads, there's a virus of misinformation and disinformation. 1990, a guy by the name of David Bowie, a future seeker, who sang songs about your wet dress, put on your wet shoes and dance the blues. That guy. He said something that I thought was apropos for this.
I think the potential of what the internet is going to do to society, both good and bad, is unimaginable. I think we're actually on the cusp of something exhilarating and terrifying. Yeah, I'm talking about the actual context, and the state of content is going to be so different to anything that we can really envisage at the moment. It's going to crush our ideas of what mediums are all about.
And he's right. And it has. The good that's come out of it, the connecting people, the being able to engage in a lot of different ways with human beings, it's just amazing. And the internet itself is incredible, but the social media aspect of it at times has been a nightmare. It has absolutely been a nightmare. It has been divisive. It has been at times disgusting. There's so many things. And then you've got the divisive side of it is the fact that you've got big tech companies that control so much crap. They get to decide what's information, disinformation. In many cases, you got a bunch of 20-somethings who are like, oh, I think this is disinformation. You don't know. I'm going to pass it off to our team, and they're going to take a look at it. But we're going to put this as disinformation or not real or been debunked, when in some cases it hasn't been. And then there is other parts out there where it's absolutely baloney. I get it all the time. People send me stuff all the time. Now it's mostly from, is it Parlor? I was going to say parkour, but I think that's when the guys jump off the buildings. Is that right? I feel like I'm missing something. Yeah, it's parkour. Parlor and Rumble. Like, that's where I get a lot of this stuff from now, because in other places it's been shot down. In other places it's been no, sorry, this isn't real. But there's been stuff that's very real that's also been shot down. Young Mr. Ducey here and Jen Psaki threw out the first ball the other day at a baseball game. Then I think there was a shooting. I don't think those things are connected. But talks about, hey, Facebook, and all this craziness. You guys, look what's happening over there. There's mixed messages all the time.
About things that are on Facebook. I looked this morning. There are videos of Dr. Fauci from 2020 before anybody had a vaccine, and he's out there saying there's no reason to be walking around with a mask. So is the administration going to contact Facebook and ask them to take that down?
Well, first, I think what Dr. Fauci has said himself is that science evolves, information evolves, and we make that available in a public way to the American people.
Exactly.
I have never seen any data to suggest that that the vaccines cause infertility.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's a huge, huge one. But he was asking about the fact that there was those things out there. And that's the misinformation, disinformation, the bob, the weave. And science does get better. And we improve on certain things and find out that the things we thought were real, we weren't capable of doing because we didn't have the equipment, the wherewithal. No, there are certain things that's absolutely true. In saying that, though, when you still have those things up and you don't have other things up.
About the science evolving, Facebook used to block people from posting that COVID may have originated for a lab. That is something this president now admits is a possibility. So is there any concern that things you're trying to block or have taken down might someday turn out to be...
We don't take anything down. We don't block anything. Facebook and any private sector company makes decisions about what information should be on their platform. You shouldn't be banned from one platform and not others for providing misinformation out there.
Yeah, that's scary. So wait a minute. I shouldn't be banned from one? I should be banned from all? Based on who? Now, are there people out there that lie and put out disinformation? Yes. Misinformation's different, Jen. Misinformation is somebody who will send me something who really believes it, and they got it from a source that they believe to be credible, but it's not. But they think it to be true. Disinformation is the credible source, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, who puts that stuff out there. In saying all of that, we shouldn't silence any voice. People should be allowed to be heard. If you're advocating violence, I think that's asinine and stupid. We shouldn't be talking about that. If you believe that this thing's going to turn you into a vegetable, who am I to stop you from believing that? Let you believe it. If you can get 1,000 people to find out that you are going to turn into a vegetable, if you do this, fantastic. Why are we always protecting people that we shouldn't be protecting? I'm always curious about that. Why are we protecting those people? The earth is flat. We're going to take you guys down. You're not going to tell the world the earth's flat anymore. That makes me think you guys are hiding something for real. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Raycon. Best earbuds around. Incredible earbuds. No stems, no wires. Your everyday earbuds at a price that will not break the bank, baby. Love my Raycons. I've got two different kinds. They come in. What I love about it is, first of all, perfect fit for every ear. So it's not just one ear. It's like, here's this gel thing, stick it in there. 6 different size gel tips designed to fit any ear. Quality, amazing. Charging capsule, incredible. You can, with your fully charged capsule, you can charge your earbuds fully 4 times. Boom. 32-hour battery life for the capsule. Phone capabilities, amazing. Water resistance, seamless Bluetooth pairing. Here's what some people and some companies are saying about the amazing, the incredible Raycons. Fox Business, high demand, high quality, affordable. Forbes, Ray J's transformed himself into a tech entrepreneur with these. VentureBeat, the sound is amazing. Mashable, the next big thing. You want the best earbuds around, a price that won't break your bank? This is it. No stems, no wires. Get yourself Raycons. 45-day happiness guarantee, 1 year limited warranty, meaning that first year, you break these, they fall apart, you step on them, your dog eats them, you send them back, they send you new ones, they don't ask you a question. That's a win. BuyRaycon.com/Chad saves 15%. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
President Biden calling the ruling deeply disappointing. The Justice Department intending to appeal. And the Secretary of Homeland Security speaking out quickly, too, saying he's committed to ensuring that Dreamers do not face deportation and are allowed to continue to contribute to this country that is their home. Jose Munoz came to the U.S. from Mexico when he was just a baby. A DACA recipient himself, he advocates for immigration reform in the nation's capital.
The reality is that we're constantly going to be in a state of limbo until we have permanent legislation.
I like how Mayorkas is like, if you're from Cuba and you're trying to come here, you don't even think about it. But he's all, yeah, these Dreamers, we need to protect these Dreamers. Of course we do. I'm not saying that we don't. Absolutely. 110% we should be doing that. But it is funny, right? Like the way he's talk about politics. So DACA was half-assly overturned. This is silly. The battle that's going on here, that we should be able to figure this thing out in a real way. But we often don't, because like everything, politics gets in the way. And the question is, now what?
The preferred solution for Democrats and Republicans has long been legislation, but it gets caught up over and over again in the complicated politics around immigration reform. And that's why Joe Biden is trying to now add this to the budget deal that is now working its way through Congress. But of course, that is already an enormous piece of legislation with a lot of moving parts. So that's a risky strategy.
Yeah. So what's he want to do? He wants to, okay, how do we make them permanent? I think the Republicans, remember, let's go back to the mean orange guy. The mean orange guy offered more than has on the DACA docs, if you will. The people on the who already documented than what was already on there for money for his wall. And Schumer's like, no. Okay. But it showed you right there what politics is all about. I talked to a lot of people who are DACA recipients. It's funny, we had a guy on who's a lawyer, who's not a citizen, who came here when he was younger. He's gone all the way through school. He's become a lawyer, all these things, and he tries to work to help people out when it comes to their residency, all of these things. And he thought, along with several others, that Trump was going to be the one to push something through. And it wasn't, because you're dealing in politics. And remember what we talk about when it comes to politics. It is about what? The problem. If you find a problem, normally in private sector, right? I find a problem that's out there. I figure out a way how to service that problem, find a solution to that problem, I make money. Politics is the exact opposite. You find out where the problem is. You never allow a solution to happen. All the while, you make money forever. Because if you make money in the solution, if you will, meaning you solve the problem, you can't fundraise off of it. You can't call the other side horrible names. You can't demonize. You can do none of those things. It is a one and done, and then you moved on. And politics is not about solutions. It's about problems. And this is the problem that they continually fight about. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. He's going up, up, and away, and he's excited.
People say they see the thin limb of the Earth's atmosphere. It teaches them how fragile and precious the planet is, how there are no boundaries. I don't know what it's going to do, but I'm excited to find out.
Bezos going up in space tomorrow. Should be very interesting. See what happens. 11 minutes he's going up. 11 minutes of fun. Frivolity. They've done it like 11 times, so this should be smooth as it can be. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Egregious abuse of power by Fox News. That's on the top 10 list for history.
I think the media has done a terrible job on this. I think you yourself, while you're a nice guy, you're full of sanctimony. You become part of one of the parts of the problem. You come on here and you have a monopoly on truth. You know exactly how things are supposed to be done. You are one of the reasons people can't stand the media. Sorry.
You're cracking me up.
You're cracking me up. Brian Stelter there, Michael Wolf, talking about the fact that, yes, Brian, you're part of the problem. You talk crap about Fox, but you are as bad as Fox, if not worse. And your entire life now, when it comes to talking about stuff, is about what? Is about just cracking down on Fox. That's it. Tucker Carlson is your villain. Used to be Hannity, now it's Tucker. And by the way, Tucker Carlson crushes you. His point of the millions that he gets beats your show. But part of the problem is the media. Media wants to, what's wrong with us? Why don't people like us? Because you guys are full of crap. And by the way, half of the people like you, the other half don't. Let me phrase that. 30% like you. 30% don't. That 30% that likes you likes what you're saying because they live in the same bubble you do. The 30% that doesn't, they live in a different bubble, and they like the people that they turn to. And then there's the rest of us, that 40% who are like, I think both of you guys are kind of full of crap, and none of you tell the story. Continue, Mr. Wolf, as you continue to crush the dreams and fun that is Brian Stelter.
So what should I do differently, Michael?
Don't talk so much. Listen more. People have genuine problems with the media. The media doesn't get the story right. The media exists in its own bubble.
That's true. I agree.
Yeah, it's true because it is. It's absolutely true. You guys are full of it. You live inside your own bubble, and you think that you do your stuff and that everybody else. It's the problem with the New York Times, right? The New York Times goes, and after the last, not this past election, the one before where Trump won, it was like, I can't believe we got it wrong. We need to find out. Is there more to life than Manhattan and Beach in California and Manhattan here? Is there more to life? Do people really not believe the same way we do? And then when you go, yeah, they're like, well, we don't care. These people are stupid. These people are awful. We're going to tell them how awful they are. That didn't work. Doesn't work.
all of the people saying the same old stuff. Also, you're incredibly repetitive week after week. I mean, you're the flip side of Donald Trump. Fake news, and you say virtuous news. You know, there's
we just
a
figure out what
problem
is
here.
real.
I mean, figuring out what is real is not so easy. And you know, most people don't want to turn to Brian Stelter to tell us what's real. I'm sorry.
Real on what? And by the fact is, you went Russia was real for 3 years. Turned out not to be real. Turned out to be nothing there. Turned out to be a partisan attack. Russia, everything turns out to be something like, oh, the Wuhan thing. If you say it, you're crazy, you're nuts, it's baloney. We've talked about it. Oh, that's it. But you got to remember something. It's a business. It's show business. And I think too often people forget that. We've said for years, you cannot have Aquaman, Superman, Batman, right? You can't have all of these people. You don't have the Avengers without something to avenge. You don't have a good guy without a villain. Comedian Bill Barr was talking the other day on his podcast, and something that we've talked about for a very long time, about how the other side is the side you need to demonize, right? Like that's what it is. You villainize and you demonize the other side. But when you don't have that, what do you have? You know, when Trump was doing his thing, I just laughed and said, I want to see what it looks like without Trump. Because these media groups on both sides of the aisle are going to have issues. Because the thing you were covering gave you the interest. People weren't tuning in to see you. Very rarely are you seeing that anymore. They've moved elsewhere, right? They're on to Rogan. They're on to a lot of different things. They're not coming back to see you. You needed a villain more than anything else. That's what Trump gave the media.
You know, my mother-in-law comes over to help watch the kids, and she always puts on CNN. And do you know what those fucking morons are doing? They're talking about Trump. I cannot believe people watch that shit. They're so dumb. They want Darth Vader to come back. They want him to come back because they got nothing to talk about because it's show business. And Joe Biden is a fucking bore.
He is. He's beige. Nobody gets excited about it. It's just there. I said the only way he's going to unite the country is through boredom. And that's it. Fox does the same thing. Normally, when you're not in power, meaning, okay, you're right-leaning or left-leaning. So when Trump gave extra oomph, right? He gave a bump to both sides, but you saw what happened, right? In the early 90s, and what Reagan and then Bush loses, in comes Clinton. That gave rise to conservative talk radio once they said, all right, we can get rid of some of this baloney rules and go from there. And so what ends up happening? You see the rise of talk radio on the right because they had the villain, and Clinton was oh man, I know I was a villain, but I was a good villain in a weird way. I'm the villain you wish that, hey, I hope he does all right. I'm like the Suicide Squad. Like and it gave rise to that. But at least some of the radio people, in particular, Limbaugh, was interesting. On television, it's not so. It's not. The right's having trouble because Biden is not Trump. Biden is not Obama and crazy. That they got that thing to pitch. Biden is boring. Both sides do it.
So now what do? They're going out there. They're doing what they did the first time to get this guy elected by giving him all this free coverage while they act like they allegedly don't like him. I don't buy it. They're a corporate news channel, just like Fox News, MSNBC, just like all of them.
Yeah, that's what they are. That's what they are. That's what they are. They are an entertainment industry. They're a corporation. They're about, it used to be in show business, and my agents always say, no, it's business for show. Meaning business will always come first. If you're entertaining, you're going to work, right? But just know this, you got to handle the business before you do the work eventually. These people they're competing for eyeballs who, by the way, are shrinking. The numbers are getting smaller and smaller. They're fighting over a smaller bite of an apple that's rotting.
I was at the gym the other day, right? And they had CNN on. They made it seem like all of California was on fire, which I know it is. but like there's nothing I can do about it. Then they go, okay, and now let's talk COVID, and the numbers are up. It's just like, what is their deal? Don't they have any idea what they're doing to you at the gym, trying to work off a bunch of ice cream sundaes, and all I get is fires and pandemic shit?
Yeah. That's it. That's what you get. Because if it bleeds, it leads. There was a station several years ago, I think it was in San Diego, that decided we're just going to do good news. So we're going to try to do good news, we're going to try to do positive news, and we're going to cover the news, but we're going to do more good than bad news. And their ratings got crushed. They tried. They tried hard. It just didn't work. It didn't. Because people like drama. We don't tune in to watch The Real Housewives of Orange County because there's no drama. We tune in because there is drama. I don't watch any of it, but that's why people tune in. It doesn't matter what reality show that's on, whether it's Love Island or something like that. It's all about the drama and the negativity. We don't slow down to see if somebody's driving good next to us. We slow down to see the accident.
How about a positive story? I swear to God, if I ran a 24-hour news network, our brand would be, we give you 2 bad, but we still give you 1 good. 2 steps back, but 1 step forward. We give you a couple of good stories. You do a story that involves race relations where people are actually getting along. Well, that doesn't get ratings. You have to scare the hell out of them. You got to make them feel like they got a virus. Their house is going to burn down. If they don't have a gun in their mouth by 18 minutes in, then we're not doing our job.
Yeah. And that's it. I like good stories. I love it. I love the fact, I say it all the time. We're in the greatest time in the history of our time. It's right now. We live in the greatest country in the history of the world right now. We have access to every single thing. Our poor people are fat. We have people who are suing our government because they're upset that their unemployment benefits have gone away. We're paying people to stay at home. We have more stuff when it comes to COVID-19 vaccines that you can shake a stick at. We're trying to beg people, we're going to give you a chance to win $1 billion, have the key to the city. What city? Any city. Give you the key to the lost city of Atlantis if it makes you feel good. Life's good. It is. But it doesn't sell. So either 2 things. You're interesting. I think I'll do that one. And that's where the news struggles, because they found out they weren't interesting. They found out they weren't exciting. They found out it was the thing they were covering that gave them the bump. And that, yeah, they're not all that. They're not. And it's tough, too, because some of them I know, and they're very nice, and off air, they're much better. But on air, they're following the business side of that show. And they think that's what people want to see, when people are really going over and watching YouTube and seeing people get hundreds of thousands and millions of views on a daily basis. And others are struggling to get 300,000 or 400,000 to even pay attention to them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Do love hearing from you. Got a little Britney we're going to talk about, a little Brit. Plus, what won the box office this week? And wait till you hear the movie that won it all and got the bomb at Cannes. I don't know who thinks these movies are like awesome and that we should vote for them, but I'm going to tell you this right now. This one's spectacularly bizarre. Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
Welcome to the Space Jam. The LeBron James-fronted sequel Space Jam, A New Legacy, scored a slam dunk box office debut, opening in first with $31.7 million. $54.7 million when you add international grosses.
I'm done running. That
knocks Black Widow into second place. It added another $26.3 million to last week's pandemic record bow for a domestic total of $132 million.
But it was the biggest drop-off of any of those Marvel characters from first week to second week. I'm sure there was sexism involved in that. Not bad, though. Right? Space Jam 2 did pretty darn good. And how could you not when you get to hear some amazing rap with the likes of, say, Porky Pig?
This pig is lit. I'm super legit. Every time I'm out in public, people asking me for pics. Nobody knows you when you walk the street. How your last name rhythm and you're still off beat. From beginning to the end, I'm here for all the smoke. Your squad ain't all star. Your squad is all jokes. And just with one bar, most famous of all quotes. This battle is now over. That's all, folks.
Oh, you got served. It's just like listening to 8 Mile. But that wasn't the only movie-making noise this weekend. At Cannes, the film festival last night, at the Palme d'Or, the movie that is the best movie. Titane? I don't know. It's a French movie. Looks like it. Now, this is a movie. Again, I come back to... So many of these movies are made by people I feel like are making movies for their college friends and professors, deep intellectual thinkers, and for critics. They're not making it for the masses. This movie tells a story of a young woman who has sex with cars, as you do, kills without care, and pretends to be a boy despite being pregnant by a vintage Cadillac. Somebody's like, let's greenlight that. This sounds amazing. I love it. It sounds wonderful. It sounds incredible. It is a horror movie. It'll be based in Belgium and France. It'll be fantastic. We'll be running around, and she can have sex with cars, and she can kill people, and then she will give birth to a Cadillac, of which it will eventually kill her. Oh, my Lord. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from you. The Olympics Friday kicks off. I guess Toyota said, yeah, we're not going to be running any ads, any Olympic-themed ads. This is just not going to happen. We don't even know if this thing should go on.
Hundreds of athletes continue to pour into Tokyo. The IOC announcing that the refugee team is now on its way after a team official tested positive and they were delayed for days in Doha. And Olympic officials remain determined to continue with tradition in whatever form. The iconic torch relay derailed by surging COVID cases. The Tokyo portion of the relay restricted to a staged ceremony, runners jogging in place.
Yeah.
The IOC welcome banquet Saturday night, controversial, and was met by a small group of protesters outside, calling for the cancellation of the Olympics.
Yep. Cancellation of the Olympics. I don't think that's going to happen. I spent too much money. It's been a disaster. I think we know that. They've already had some athletes, Coco Gauff being the biggest so far. The tennis player is not going to be there. So Friday it goes off with plenty of hitches. I doubt it's going to go off, even if they got everybody there and it seems to be okay. I can almost guarantee you. I don't think it's going to be as bad as we joke about, but I do think there are going to be some serious issues. And if you're keeping everybody in a certain area, you know there's going to be some people that are going to get sick. And with them testing positive, and remember, some of these people, the countries that they live in, don't have access to vaccines, or they're not getting vaccines because they're not in the proper place in the vaccine line. The Spanish football team, who made it to the semifinals of the European Championship, the actual home of Spain, the populace, the people, had to scream and yell for them to get the vaccine because they weren't in proper place to get it. So some of these guys aren't going to take it as well because they're worried about side effects. And you know what? Quite frankly, I would be worried about testing positive for something. Even though they may say yes, I'd still be worried. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I tweeted something earlier about socialism. There's all these people on this boat, this little boat with like held together by rafts and like tape, and it's got like a umbrella from your backyard, and they're coming over, and it's like, look at the people escape free education and free health care to come over to the horrors of capitalism. And somebody tweets at me, Socialism is the fire department coming to put your, to save your house. Capitalism is the insurance company denying your claim. And our good friend Anthony said, socialism is the fact that you don't get to own the house. So it's a moot point. Very much so. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson is your show. Twitter and Instagram. Check us out. You guys have a blessed day. We'll do it again tomorrow. Night. Ciao.
This is the Chad Benson Show.